to audit the accounts of the Office of the Auditor General.
More support for residents of Apiate as chiefs and people call for a transparent investigation into incidents that led to the explosion.
God felt likely to invest $500 million to extend the life of its dam and mine to create more value for investors and the state.
Drying up of dam at Pungut Talania in the Kasina Nankana municipality of the Upper East region is source of worry to farmers.
And Ethiopian cabinet passes a resolution to lift a state of emergency declared last November in Addis Ababa.
Good evening. It's time for News Hour. We are live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. My name is Clara Lano.
And I am Samuela Kwote. Jonathan Mintim Dakun translates the news into sign language. Now the news in detail. The President Nana Akufo-Addo has tasked Ghana's new ambassador to Japan, Mrs. Genevieve Edna Palu, to do her utmost to scale up bilateral relations and investment opportunity between Ghana and Japan. When he commissioned the new ambassador, Nana Akufo-Addo urged Mrs. Apalu to stick to the tenets of Ghana's foreign policy, which is to establish goodwill and uphold the good image of Ghana and Japan.
Mrs. Genevieve Edna Apalu has worked with Ghana's mission in Washington for some time now as a diplomat. She takes up this position as the first woman to be appointed as an ambassador to serve in Japan. Accra and Tokyo have enjoyed very good relations over the 60 years. So, this reassignment and new appointment for Mrs. Apalu spells out her main task as to strengthen the existing relationship between the two countries. President Akufo-Addo said Japan's model of development is worth emulating, and the new ambassador must work to bring that to bear as the country tries to scale up development.
The most important thing is you're there to promote the relations between us and them. I'm very confident that you'll be able to do so. You know what our main preoccupations are, how we can bring as much investment into our country as possible to accelerate the development of our economy, the things we need to do to consolidate and grow our democracy, the system of government that we have chosen to live by, and generally to promote goodwill in our relations with Japan and peoples all across the world. The model of development that has brought them to where they are is one that I particularly admire a great deal. And I'm hoping that many of the things that we're doing here in Ghana will have the same impact and result as what has happened to them in Japan.
Mrs. Genevieve Edna Apalu promised to put her best foot forward in the discharge of her duties.
Japan, as you have said, is a very important friend of Ghana, and it is also a very important country in the world, a powerful country in the world. I'm humbled by this appointment, and I want to assure you that by the grace of God, I'll put all my strength into this work and bring as much benefit to Ghana as I can.
Mrs. Genevieve Apalu has previously served in Paris, Togo, Nigeria, and Equatorial Guinea. She also served as director of the Asia and Pacific Bureau of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration.
Now, Ghana's Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia has called on the United Nations to empower local communities to take required preventative actions against wars or perpetrators of crimes against civilian populations, participating in a high-level open debate at the UN Security Council in New York on the topic War in Cities, Protection of Civilians in Urban Settings. Dr. Bawumia stressed the need to also address poverty, an important element of urbanization, which is, if not tackled head-on, leads to people becoming a cannon fodder for conflicts.
Countries that have been caught in the web of conflicts within the last decade include Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Libya, and Ethiopia. The UN estimates that more than 50 million of people affected by conflicts are in urban areas in these countries. Women and children face a much higher risk of being killed or injured. And to the Prime Minister of Norway, Jonas Gahr Støre, who is also the President of the UN Security Council, there is no better time to focus on wars in urban settings across the world. Contributing to the debate at the UN Security Council in New York, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia said the Security Council could play a corrective role by encouraging national authorities to undertake measures such as the re-education and retraining of combatants. He also called for effective protection of civilians, who he stressed must be a strategic priority in the planning and conduct of military operations in urban areas. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said urban warfare also puts civilians at risk of sieges and blockades that had led to starvation. It also forces millions of people from their homes, contributing to record numbers of refugees and internally displaced people. Besides, war creates millions of tons of debris that affects the environment and people's health.
The majority leader and leader of the Parliament of Ghana, Mr. Osechi Mensah Bonsu, has recommended 4 persons to form an ad hoc committee to begin the process for the appointment of an auditor to audit the accounts of the Office of the Auditor General. Parliament is powered by Article 187(15) of the 1992 Constitution to perform this duty.
Article 187, Clause 15 of the 1992 Constitution states that the accounts of the Office of the Auditor General shall be audited and reported upon by an auditor appointed by Parliament. The selection of the auditor is usually done by a committee put in place by the leadership of Parliament. This exercise is expected to bring transparency in the work of the Auditor General.
The following 4 members have been slated: the Honorable James Kluche Aveji, the Honorable Dr. Festus Kofi, the Honorable Dr. Stephen Amoa, the Honorable Samson Tangumbu Chiragia. Speaker, it is recommended that the Honorable James Kluche Aveji is made the chairman of the committee. The Speaker, this is so because, 1, this is an ad hoc committee, and second, that the Honorable James Kluche Aveji is the most senior member and also a member of the leadership who is part of this committee.
The recommendation by this particular committee will be considered by the entire membership of Parliament before one of the auditors recommended is chosen or approved.
Once again, you're welcome to.
Now, yesterday, January 25, 2022, the government initiated the Apiate Support Fund to be managed by a 5-member committee. The committee is to oversee the mobilization of funds for the survivors of the explosion and to help reconstruct the community, which is now left in debris. Almost a week ago, 13 people died when some mining explosives being transported through Bogoso got detonated accidentally. Panelists on GTV Breakfast emphasized the need for charities to help and the establishment of emergency relief funds for such disasters.
When an accident occurs, it gives you an opportunity for those who are managers to actually start managing, and those who are damagers to actually be seen and ejected. So now that we have the accident, the managers will see what they can do to manage better, and the damagers will be seen so we can take them out of the system.
Yep.
But also, it shows us that we really don't have enough charities in this country. Charities must already exist so that when things like this happen, those charities can step in to help.
We need an emergency relief fund it can't be that we're going to be sitting down for every disaster of this magnitude, then we'll set up a fund. Maybe there is a revolving fund. I'm not too sure. I don't know about it. Maybe through the lottery system, or, you know, government has to slap on some tax somewhere, you know, to get that done. But it should bring our minds to it. Look, when I look at this country and I ask myself, okay, we haven't had any tsunami, we haven't had an earthquake, but how coordinated are we in terms of our rescue relief, you know, and emergency relief? Where's the synchronization between all the organizations?
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, is courting mining companies to support government to make Ghana a mining hub, conferring with the executives of Goldfields, who paid a courtesy call on him to introduce their global chief executive, Mr. Chris Griffith. The minister emphasized the huge dividends to be derived from value addition to our gold. Since January 2022, Goldfields is ranked the #1 gold producer in Ghana, operating via Sanko, Daman and Takwa mines. According to Goldfields' own sources, about 35% of the company's global gold production is from Ghana, making the country a strategic partner. With a goal to create an enduring value beyond mining, Goldfields has invested some $84 million in the host communities through infrastructure, livelihood enhancement programs, education, health, among others.
Ghana remains a destination of choice for our company, hence our commitment to work with you and work with the government to ensure that, you know, there is value brought to, you know, what we do over here.
The global chief executive of Goldfields, Mr. Chris Griffith, commended governments for the congenial business environment created for mining companies. Commiserating with the people of Apiate, Goldfields says it is committed to the rebuilding of the collapsed community.
Support the president's mission and the vision for the country, because this is a very, very important part of our business. So, you know, we have 35% of the value of the company comes from Ghana. It's very, very important to us. The future of the business is you know, inextricably linked to what we do here in Ghana.
The sector minister, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, welcomed Goldfields' support and willingness to help Ghana develop its mining sector.
The vision of the president is to make Ghana the true mining hub of Africa. Make this place the destination, the mining destination of Africa. And not just the mining itself, but the mine support services, the financial sector which will back the mining industry, all of that, the value addition we're building here in Ghana, the value chain, the full value chain of mining in Ghana, from exploration to mining to refinery, and all of that should be happening here in Ghana.
This is Mr. Chris Griffith's first visit to Ghana. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
Now, the chosen people of Apiate have called for a transparent investigation into the unfortunate explosion that ripped off the community and rendered many homeless. The chiefs are worried about speculations about the incident and want nothing but the truth. These sentiments came up when members of the Western Regional House of Chiefs and some government officials commiserated with the people.
Government has since last Thursday's explosion at Apiate been putting in place measures to help residents displaced by the unfortunate incident that killed 14 people and rendered many homeless. Currently, work is about 90% complete at Dumase, where a camp has been raised to temporarily house victims until full resettlement works are completed. As part of the resettlement process, members of the Western Regional House of Chiefs commiserated with the people of Apiate, describing the incident as unfortunate. The paramount chiefs of Esikado, Nana Kobnan Ketia and Wasa Amenfi Tetrete Okuamuasechem, assured the people of their resolve to ensure that thorough investigations are conducted.
I believe the government is very strong on it, but the committee has a mandate. The committee's mandate is to raise funds and seek a disbursement in a transparent manner. The committee is not involved in reconstruction. But I believe along the line, before you disburse, you have to make sure the right things are done. And I can assure Nananum that I'm with them. And I believe this is why, in the sense, the government had one of us on the committee, being me. So we are on it.
The Minister for Works and Housing, Mr. Francis Asenso-Boakye, said agencies under the ministry, such as the State Housing Company, SHC, are mapping out strategies to redevelop the place on time. For his part, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Abujinapo, appealed to the people to cooperate with government and its agencies as they find workable solutions.
President Akufo-Addo yesi ne boso oyesi wa kanto oyesi o omampanyin sei mukuru no obehwe esiama.
The divisional chief of Bipo, Nana Atakojo Brimbi, urged residents to be involved in the investigations for first-hand information. Meanwhile, Casapreco Ghana Limited has presented over 2,800 packets of bottled water, 30 boxes of sanitizers, and 1,200 boxes of soft drinks worth 100,000 Ghana cedis to the victims. The regional manager southwest of Casapreco, Mr. George Amua, said the company, which takes its roots from Wassa Memfi, is doing needs assessment in the area and will support the community in the best way it can.
Key interest groups in social entrepreneurship in Ghana are advocating the approval of the Social Enterprises Draft Policy. The policy document is hoped to create a conducive environment for social enterprises or businesses to thrive by tackling various issues, including funding and advisory services. There are nearly 100,000 social enterprises in Ghana, but lack of a comprehensive framework has made it difficult to derive further growth of the subsector.
In the last 3 years, Ghana's business environment has witnessed a lot of startups. Social enterprises are businesses created to further a social purpose in a financially sustainable way. Social enterprises, apart from tackling social and environmental problems, do offer job opportunities. Their major challenges include difficulty in obtaining funding. Others are lack of access to support and advisory services. But without a definite national policy, stakeholders believe key bottlenecks affecting the growth of Ghana's social enterprise cannot be addressed. Star Ghana Foundation, in partnership with Social Enterprise Ghana, SE Ghana, co-convened a one-day forum to update stakeholders on the social enterprise policy and financing and further share lessons and experiences on social enterprise in Ghana.
Been working on a policy framework to support social enterprise. You need a policy and a regulatory framework to be able to really support the social enterprises. There's a lot of discussions around access to finance and building capacity. But when you have a policy that clearly outlines these things and the hows, it really allows people to come in, it allows it to thrive.
Mr. Edwin Zukujo, the Executive Director of Social Enterprise Ghana, the umbrella body for social enterprises in Ghana, which is leading the process, says the approval of the draft policy will help improve the business environment for social enterprises.
We've been engaging government, specifically the Ministry of Trade and Industry, to come out with a policy document that we refer to as the Ghana Social Enterprise Policy, which we believe would intervene and provide a support system for social enterprises. In that document are issues around creating the Ghana Social Enterprise Fund that will directly invest into social enterprises.
Social enterprises have strong female presence, nearly 40%, making it an important outlet for female entrepreneurs.
To be an entrepreneur is very painful and lonely. And whenever you find yourself as one, don't be too scared about getting information and getting help. The help, the information, and the knowledge is what has brought me this far.
The social enterprises draft policy is in line with the government's commitment to promote and grow businesses, improve livelihoods, particularly among the youth. For GBC News, Shelley Bewa reporting.
Now we go to the Upper East region, where farmers in the Pungu Talania community in the Kasina Nankana municipality are worried about the drying up of a dam constructed over 6 decades ago by government to support dry season gardening. The farmers need the dam to cultivate tomatoes, okra, garden eggs, onions, cabbage and lettuce, among other green leafy vegetables during the season. They spoke to GBC News.
Trait of the weather pattern in northern Ghana is low rainfalls and prolonged periods of drought. So farmers in the Upper East region, unlike their counterparts down south, cannot cultivate their crops all year round. They also lose many of their livestock because the animals die of thirst in the dry season. The end result is the migration of the youth to the southern parts in search of the proverbial greener pastures. To help mitigate this problem, residents of Pungu Talania community are appealing to the government to urgently desilt the dam for them. Even though some of their crops, including garden eggs, tomato, pepper, among others, were still fruiting, they had no option than to desert their farms for animals to feed on because there was no water in the dam. Some farmers were harvesting their unmatured pepper because the dam was dry. In an interview with GBC News, a resident of Pungu Talania, Mr. Wilfred Punguyiri, said inadequate water in the dam remains a headache for farmers.
When we farm like this, the crops will come, but the water is not there. The water will normally take us about 2 or 3 months. It will finish. So it's a problem for us.
A resident of Pungu Talania, Madame Tamanga, appealed to the government for help. An opinion leader of Pungu Talania, Mr. Gordon Atingdi, similarly expressed worry.
Ghana government on boy, ya panicho. Say on be here dump no be too my tears Ghana government. On be too dump my na yes yan fan ya adwuma na yan boa aban no.
Mr. Alan Kwesi Nazantira is assemblyman for Pungu Central Electoral Area.
We are pleading that government should come to our aid if they can dig down even deep so that the water can sustain even up to March, February, March, and then that will also help. So that, the animals too, they used to wander for water and go astray. When they are looking for water, they go to far places, and the animals, they got missing.
Pungu Talania is a farming community with a population of over 5,000.
Indians living in Ghana gathered at the residence of their High Commissioner in Ghana to mark the 75th Independence Day anniversary. The event involved the hoisting of the Indian national flag.
August 15 is the day of the rebirth of India. It is the day the British left India and handed over the country to its own people. India, the world's second most populous nation after China, gained independence in 1947 and became a republic in 1950. The Independence Day reminds Indians of the sacrifices made by their forebears to gain freedom for the country. Speaking with GBC.
In the last 75 years, it has always been with our close partners globally, and Ghana tops among the Indian partners globally. Challenges that we are facing together, India, Ghana, and the countries of the global south are facing together, are also being addressed during these themes.
The High Commissioner enumerated some activities lined up for the Golden Jubilee celebration.
This year is special because we have launched the 75 years of Indian independence celebration last year in March, and it will go on till next year, 15th August, that is 2023. Coming 15th of August, which is our 75th Independence Day, we will have bigger celebrations.
All patriotic Indian citizens in Ghana were present to mark the occasion, which featured some cultural dance and music.
About 16 rooms of a compound house has been razed by fire at Koblimago, a suburb of Tamale Metropolis in the northern region. The fire, which started in the early hours of Tuesday, burnt everything, including property worth thousands of cedis belonging to occupants of the house. It is unclear what might have sparked the fire, but some of the tenants have blamed it on intermittent power fluctuations in the area. Officials of the Ghana National Fire Service, led by its PRO Assistant Divisional Officer, who were at the scene, said the situation could have been saved if the occupants have called on time. The occupants tried to douse the fire, but the intensity of the blaze made it impossible. The fire incident brings to 46 the number of fire outbreaks recorded in the municipality since the beginning of the year. You're watching User Live on GBC News. You also stream me live on Facebook and on YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Please stay.
By MTN and Whirlpool. My name is Esther Edu Ohumu. Goldfields is considering an investment of an approximate $500 million to extend the life of its diamond mine in Ghana's western region, which runs out in 2024. The investment will allow the mine to continue operating for another decade, creating more value for both investors and the state.
The government of Ghana owns the remaining 10% shares as its free carried interest. In 2016, the gold producer invested more than $1 billion to extend the life of its diamond operation until 2024, which was due to run out in 2017. With 3 years to end the mine's life, The company has hinted of plans to extend the diamond operations. Goldfields Acting Executive Vice President and Head of West Africa, Mr. Joshua Mototi, said the project will help produce more than 1 million ounces of gold and support job creation.
We have to start reinvesting this year. That's going to be very significant. What we're working on is potentially to extend Daman's life for another 10 years. So that's going to be circa $500 million is going to go into reinvestment in Daman. But we have to first of all prove it that we can make money in Daman to justify the investment request that we're going to make.
The global CEO of Goldfields, Mr. Chris Griffith, said the company is keen on getting its employees fully vaccinated to curb internal COVID spread while sustaining production.
We just want our teams to be vaccinated so that we can carry on operating. So we're way above the national rate around vaccinations. I think that's the first comment that I'd make, because that's really in our control. And actually, we've seen no impact from COVID, or very little impact from COVID, other than the investments that we've been making to try and make sure our operations are safe, that we can make a contribution to the country to manage COVID, and we have been doing that here in Ghana.
The mining industry's global outlook for 2022 is positive, with metal prices projected to remain high, an indication that mining companies will continue to generate strong cash flow.
By the first half of this year, the Ghana Revenue Authority will start implementing a data warehouse system. Marking the International Customs Day in Accra, the Commissioner General of the GRA, Mr. Amishadai Owusu-Amwa, said the warehouse would allow for cross-referencing of data with other agencies, which will help identify the rate of tax compliance. The scaling up of customs digital transformation by embracing the data culture and building data ecosystems was the highlight of the 2022 World Customs Day celebration held in Accra. In marking the day, the World Customs Organization called on customs authorities around the world to establish formal data governance to ensure relevance, accuracy and timeliness of data by making use of standards developed by the World Customs Organization and other relevant institutions. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Amishadai Owusu-Amwa, spoke of measures the authority is taking to put data use at the forefront of its operations.
We are working on a data warehouse system for the entire GRA, and this data warehouse system will ensure that the customs data is integrated into the domestic tax data and also integrated into third-party data, which includes the DV, LA, lands, and many other departments, SNIT, and the rest. And this is going to be a huge database that allows for cross-referencing and identifying opportunities for compliance as far as tax payments are concerned.
A director at the Revenue Policy Unit of the Ministry of Finance, Mr. George Winful, said improved use of data by the GRA could go a long way to help the authority achieve its revenue targets for the year.
The ministry believes that it will add on significantly in improving Ghana's tax to GDP ratio from the current 13% to 20% by 2024. This goal obviously requires the Customs Division to take advantage of available data from key institutions like the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Airport Company, as well as regulatory bodies for purposes of revenue assurance.
Customs officers who excelled in their line of duty for 2021 were given certificates. The Institute of Economic Affairs says the central bank can control the country's inflation to ensure that its monetary policy will not influence high lending rates.
Ghana has a history of high fiscal deficits. A review of fiscal performance in Ghana over the past 2 decades shows that the country has not been able to keep the government budget under control, and fiscal consolidation has not been successful. For instance, the average fiscal deficit for Ghana between 2005 and 2013 was 7.5% of GDP, compared with just 3% of GDP for sub-Saharan Africa. Wages and salaries have now swallowed government spending, which accounts for an average 9% of GDP, and its share of GDP has grown significantly over the past 3 years. The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, believes addressing the country's macroeconomic challenges will require an ambitious fiscal consolidation strategy in all sectors of the economy. Interacting with the media and captains of industry in Accra, a director of research at the IEA, Dr. John Kwache, said strengthening fiscal performance in Ghana will require governments gaining control over the wage bill through a conscious efforts in ensuring a clean payroll system in Ghana.
High inflation and interest rates have persisted for far too long in Ghana, and these have had devastating effects on growth and employment. Now, monetary policy, unfortunately, has been ineffective, largely ineffective in addressing this problem, precisely because it is not tailored to dealing with the fundamental causes. Now, we think that a new approach is called for to ensure that monetary policy is more fit for purpose.
The Institute of Economic Affairs says it expects maintenance of the policy rate at its current level of 14.5% after the current Monetary Policy Committee meeting, which is underway. This will help to mitigate the inflation levels, which have risen sharply in the past 7 months.
From a survey conducted by the Ghana Statistical Service, 2/3 of households' incomes have not recovered to pre-pandemic levels. This is per the Ghana Statistical Service Household and Job Tracker survey carried out during the country's third COVID-19 wave.
The median expenditure on PPE, masks, sanitizers and face shields per household on the 7 days before the survey was 12.0, while the mean expenditure was 22.0. Median expenditure was slightly higher in urban areas, 14, than in rural areas, 10.3. Of the zones, both the median 15 and mean 25.3 expenditure was the highest in the coastal zone, while 68.2% indicated that their household income decreased. Of the different sources of income, non-farm family business income had the biggest reduction. 77.3% of the households with income from a non-farm family business experienced a decrease in income, and only 4.4% reported an increase in income. The 4.2% of households who got income from pension had the smallest change of this income source. 76.7%, however, reported no change in pension income, 13.0% a reduction, and 10.3% an increase. The survey indicated that approximately 86.7% of households used some sort of coping strategy to deal with the negative effects of COVID-19 since March 2020. The most common coping strategies included relying on savings, 43.0%, and reducing food consumption, 42.9%. Respondents said most types of coping strategies were used more often in 2020 than in 2021. The exception to this, the survey said, is the borrowing from friends and family and the use of credited purchases. About the shocks household experienced due to COVID-19 since March 2020, 73.4% said they experienced an increase in the price of major food items consumed, and 46.5% indicated that they were affected by the increase of the price of inputs. 58.7% of households said they were affected by the school closures, but the majority, 92.1% of households, indicated that this shock occurred in 2020. Other shocks were felt more evenly throughout 2020 and the first and second half of 2021.
Let's have the interbank and commodity figures for the day.
company says it is ready to bear. The managing director of ECG, Mr. Kwame Ajimambudu, says the work involves restoration of express feeder, removal and replacement of cables, transformers, meters and poles bent in the exploration.
Poles, low voltage poles, high voltage poles. We have our steel tubular poles, which are, some of them got bent, destroyed. Conductors were brought down and all that, and it costs a lot. But at this point, we are not worried about the money. We are worried about the safety of our people and the community.
The OPEC group is expected to decide next week whether it should continue unwinding the oil production cut by another 400,000 barrels per day in March as global demand holds resilience despite recorded COVID-19 cases in major oil-consuming countries. The alliance will be meeting online on February 2 to decide on production levels and quotas for March, having approved a monthly production increase of 400,000 barrels per day since August. For next week's meeting, expectations of OPEC Plus delegates from around half of the coalition's producers are that the same increase will be approved for March, largely in line with analyst expectations that the group would continue to add some supply to the market. Analysts have been, however, started to point out that OPEC Plus has been unable to deliver on the cut each month since August, undershooting its collective target, which has essentially made market balances tighter than expected. Even OPEC officials admit that OPEC Plus will struggle to increase supply as much as the nameplate monthly increase allows, and prices could spike to $100 a barrel.
Now for health, brought to you by Lufa, Tobingo's premium gifts to Africa. Sunday, January 30 is World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day globally. The WHO has about 20 neglected tropical diseases on its list. Ghana, which is an endemic zone, has 14 of the neglected tropical diseases, NTDs, on GTV Breakfast. The head of Parasitology Department of the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, Dr. Irene Ayi, explained that some environmental modifications are needed for the effective control and prevention of the NTDs. She asserted that these diseases are poverty-related. This year's celebration is on a theme, Achieving Health Equity to End the Neglect of Poverty-Related Diseases.
Nationwide. We have it from the north to the south. Soil-transmitted helminthiasis is nationwide, but predictive maps that through Noguchi research have been generated show that hookworms, for example, in the northern part, middle belt to the northern zone, has a lot of impact. For every disease, the control must not be one-sided. So for schistosomiasis, for example, and soil-transmitted helminthiasis, you have to educate the people, create awareness of how the infection can be acquired, so that sometimes people can do something themselves. We don't have to wait for government. So if the awareness is created, they are sensitized enough, they'll be able to do something about it. For example, parents can buy shoes for their children to take to school, so that when they are playing ball and they are in the soil, they will avoid being infected by these helminths. Apart from education, you have to provide water and sanitation facilities. They must wash their hands at critical times after visiting the toilet before eating, so that they don't ingest contamination from their hands of food or water. Then, like Ghana Health Service is doing, they give the medication to treat infected people. So you are controlling the parasites inside the host. But then the vectors also have to be taken care of.
Now, petty squabbles among nurses at workplace can negatively affect quality health delivery. Nurses have therefore been advised to desist from the practice to ensure quality service delivery to clients. The Nanduli Kalio District Director of Health, Madam Phoebe Balagutimi, made this observation at an award ceremony of the Upper West Regional Branch of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association at WA.
Midwives and nurses provide healthcare services, including gynecological, contraceptive counseling, and prescriptions for women. They also provide healthcare for patients, communicate with doctors, and administer medicine. While some go about their duties diligently, others do not. It is for this reason that the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association instituted the awards scheme to recognize and encourage good performance. In the Upper West region, 70 nurses, midwives, and union leaders received awards for their dedicated services. Mr. Ali Adam from the Wa East District emerged the 2021 Regional Best Nurse, while Patricia Na from Naduli Kalio District was adjudged the Regional Best Midwife. The regional chairman of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Mr. Lawrence Bangwim, commended the award winners for excelling in their duties in spite of the challenges. Mr. Bangwim appealed to districts and municipal assemblies to support best performing nurses and midwives to continue their education. The guest speaker, Madam Phoebe Balagumitime, said the nursing profession is a noble one and that all practitioners must strive to follow the ethics for efficiency.
And our poor communication skills is something that is eating up the patients, eating up the clients. There are times we are really found doing the right things, but the fact that we do not even communicate to the client. You are at a facility and possibly you are attending to emergencies and others are lined up. What prevents you from telling them that, please, I need to attend to A, B, C, D, and to come back to you? What our clients have been saying is that you will just find a nurse walking, and when they say it in Wale, because this is something we want to correct in Upper West region. You know, we go shaking our buttons and we never tell them anything. But at least, communication is key. Even in your own home, if you don't communicate, you'll be in trouble.
The Regional Director of Health, Dr. Damien Punguiri, commended members of the association for their services. He was, however, not happy with the refusal of some nurses to accept postings to deprived areas.
As the Regional Health Administration, we have often tried to distribute the human resources fairly. So recruitment and fair distribution to ensure that every district gets the required numbers. But we are often faced with refusals of some of the members to accept posting to these places. And so you have few, the only people who don't have a voice are there struggling, working 24 hours. And I think that this is unfair.
The awards program was on the theme, Rediscovering the Ethics of Nursing, a step to nursing the people of Upper East to health.